Hey everyone, welcome back to the lab. In this video, we're going to be talking about open source F# projects I'm supporting in 2024. So I've previously written about how open source software is unsustainable, at least in its current form. I don't know how to solve this long term, but short term, I know we can support the projects we use and like to help vote for their continued existence. In this post, I'm going to share a few projects I like and think deserve more support. So the question I'm answering is, which open source projects are you supporting in 2024? So in this post, I've selected a handful of projects that I've used extensively in the past year and that I'd like to continue using next year. Yes, there are many more projects out there that probably deserve support, but these are the ones I have direct experience with. We can't do everything, but we can often do a little bit more. I've grouped my selections roughly by the category in which I use them and why I think they should continue existing. So the first category is F#. The first bucket consists of projects that directly benefit the continuing existence of F#. I love this language, but it has a pretty small community, so I'm voting to keep it going. First one is F# Foundation. The first project I'm calling out isn't really a project at all. The F# Foundation does a lot of things that help support F# and its ecosystem. Thus, support here can potentially benefit the ecosystem far more than giving to any one project, and is closer to a sustainable OSS model, in my opinion. And if you haven't seen this already, the F# Foundation does quite a lot of things. They have a little Slack channel, they host some forums over here, they've got a bunch of different little programs, and they have a lot of pretty good guides and stuff from the homepage here. That you can kind of take a look at. So I kind of think of it as like, if you're going to give to one thing to keep F# going, F# Foundation is probably the way to go. Ionide. So Ionide is a collection of tools that allow for IDE support for F#. Again, this is not a library you would typically use in a project, but I feel that developer experience is incredibly important to get right for a technology to reach adoption. If IDE support in F# was bad, then even I would likely stop using it, so I'm voting for Ionide to continue existing and improving. And Ionide's that little thing you can get in VS Code. I think it works in Visual Studio, I think also in Writer, and it's basically like a language server that allows you to get IntelliSense and type checking and the red squigglies when things are going wrong. And I feel like, F#'s a great language, but at the end of the day, you're trying to be productive. And so if you don't have good tooling to make this easy, then people are just going to try it and bounce off. And so, at this point, there's a million languages out there. So if you don't have good tooling that makes the experience of actually building in this ecosystem good, then there's really no reason for someone to use that language. And so for me, Ionide needs to exist, or something like it needs to exist for F# to continue being a player that people will consider. And so I think it's worth giving to them. And this here's a link to the docs, but they also have an open collective thing. I don't know where the link is. I think maybe here. And so this is how you can kind of give. And they do have some supporters, which is nice, but kind of like I said in my open source is unsustainable thing, this isn't even going to pay for one person's full-time salary. So if you want it to continue, really, really got to give to it. Okay, so that's the first bucket. The next bucket is building sites with F#. So the next bucket of projects includes several packages I've used heavily over the past year building my projects. For the most part, I build web apps, so these heavily lean towards full stack apps with F#. First one is Giraffe. So it should be no surprise that Giraffe, the most popular F# web framework, is on this list. I use it in nearly all of my projects, have written numerous tutorials about it, and even use it in my F# project boilerplate, Cloudseed. And in fact, now Cloudseed is basically all on F# Giraffe, so this makes it even more crucial for my boilerplate. Giraffe.viewEngine may be a bit more of a surprise. It's an HTML DSL that allows me to build frontends with most of the type system or type safety of F#. And I've got a whole post on this over here of how I use it. I was initially reluctant to try it out as I thought it might abstract the underlying HTML too much, but I've actually found it to be very simple and extraordinarily fast, and have since gone on to migrating my sites, including this one, to F#, Giraffe, and ViewEngine. And so yeah, this is currently running this site here, and you can learn more about this here. So this site that I'm reading this off of, HAMY.xyz, and it's also the core of Cloudseed. I rewrote the front end to just use Giraffe.viewEngine because I found it to be simpler and very, very fast. And lastly, we've got MarkDig and YAML.net. When I was considering moving over to F# full stack apps, I wanted to run several tests and prototypes to ensure that I wasn't coding myself into a corner. One of these tests was to build a simple Markdown blog in F# so I could see if it would be a good fit for this site and others like it. I found the available libraries to be very easy to use, with MarkDig for Markdown processing and YAML.net for parsing my front matter. And yeah, I've had a Markdown blog for, I don't know, a long time, like at least 6 years. I think even before that, I was still using Markdown as my engine, because every time I moved off of WordPress with like my first Ghost blog, I don't know, back in like 2013, maybe back in college, I wanted a format that I could kind of take with me as, you know, the technology switched. And that's been good for me because, you know, my website has evolved over the years from like, it was on WordPress, and then I built my custom React, and then I went over to Hugo, tried Gatsby, moved to SvelteKit, and now it's on F#, and that's been pretty good. So I've tried this kind of like Markdown to HTML thing for many years, and I will say that the tools and libraries and how easy they are to actually interact with each other has been quite good for the .NET ecosystem versus like things like playing around with NPM and you're just like downloading random packages and trying to get them to work, and like 2 out of 3 don't. And that was kind of eye-opening for kind of the quality of libraries there. So these things, you know, they're small packages, but they do a lot. And this is like a great example of, you know, kind of what I'm talking about in, you know, this post open source, where a lot of these packages, you know, it's like one of these packages, like you built your whole nice Markdown site, and then there's just one little YAML package that everything relies on. There's just one little Markdown package that everything relies on. And so, you know, I love my websites. And so I think giving to packages like these that you use that are like crucial to your thing running, even though if it's only a smart part of it, really is important for longevity and sustainability of your services. Okay, finally, we've got F# influencers. So I mentioned in the state of F# 2023 here that the biggest problem with F# is the relatively small community. The main way I could think of making it bigger was to make onboarding to the language easier and more attractive. And the way to do that is basically to make more content. So I love F#, it's great. I think it deserves way more use in the world. It's way better than like, honestly, most languages that people are using these days. And it's definitely way better in the, I think, practicality, generalizability for most problems than any other one language is. But the big drawback is that there's just not enough people who know it that can push for this language to be good. And therefore, when people are building businesses, they don't think about it because it might be hard to hire for, which is like totally valid. And so the only way to kind of fix this is like a little bit chicken and the egg, is like you have to get more people doing it, right? And the egg always is first, and it's a stupid paradox. So the way that you have to, you know, make F# bigger is to get more people to use it. And I really think that making content that makes it approachable and also shows kind of the cool things you can do with it, why it's better than other things, is the way to do that. And that's one of the big reasons that I've been writing a lot in F# in the past year and stuff, is because I like it a lot. I want more people to use it so that it kind of has more staying power, and I'm not like coding in a dead language, if that makes sense. So now obviously I create a lot of F# content here on my blog. Got, you know, dozens and dozens and dozens of articles at this point on this. And hopefully that makes the language and ecosystem better, more approachable, more attractive. Hopefully you like these videos, but I'm already supporting myself. You know, I do all this basically for free. So giving myself money is kind of useless. So instead, what I'm going to be doing as part of this post and for next year is supporting Sergey Tihon. Hopefully I didn't ruin your name, who's supported the F# ecosystem via content for much longer than I have. And you've probably seen his posts around. So he runs both the F# Advent Calendar and F# Weekly, which I've participated in over the past few years. An F# Advent Calendar I think is really cool. I did the 2023 one and the 2022 one. You can see me right here. And I think it's like things like this that really push the ecosystem forward, because this is like the biggest problem with F# is getting people into the language. And the way that you do that is by providing tutorials, building cool things, stuff like that. So that's who I'm supporting, because I think that's like, you know, the one person that will get the most impact out of this stuff in the next year. So that's it. That's the list of projects, orgs, and people I'm supporting this year to try and improve the F# ecosystem, mostly open source or nonprofit, or, you know, people doing this out of the goodness of their hearts. So if you like this post, you might also like Open Source Software is Unsustainable, to think about how I think about the ecosystem, the problems, and some potential solutions to try and make this a bit better for everyone involved. Why I'm moving from SvelteKit to F#, for more about why I think F# is great and is replacing all my front ends. And then build a simple Markdown blog with F# and Giraffe, which is what my submission was for the F# Advent Calendar for 2023. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.